everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Soul Grows in Israel. Today, I sit down with Jordana Baruchov, better known as Drink It in Jordana's podcast and social media reel. She is both a soul coach, where she helps individuals find their true alignment and greater connection to spirituality and joy, as well as the director of social media and marketing strategy at Renewal. I hope this conversation really moves you in a way, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. A Soul Grows in Israel, a podcast where we ask the questions about ancient Jewish wisdom, modern life, and everything in between. So let's ask, let's have fun, and let's grow together. Hi, Jordana. Welcome to A Soul Grows in Israel. It is such a pleasure not only to have you, but having done some research on you, I find myself sitting here inspired already.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm inspired just by the title. The soul
We're
grows in.
hoping,
How can a soul not grow in Israel?
it's you know what though? It takes a lot of work to not grow in Israel. Let me tell you,
Yes.
it's hard for me to stagnate here. I have to be honest. When I'm overseas, I could just live in the fluff. It's different here.
Exactly. It's like every inch, every space you turn, how do you not see it? It's like
I know.
boom, right in your
I know.
face.
I know. Even visitors, they come and they're like, why is the davening different? I don't have an answer. It just is. It just is.
Yeah, it's something
Mhm.
you feel. That's what
Yes.
I tell my children. When you get off the plane, it's you can't describe the feeling to somebody else of what
Mhm.
it's like to be in Eretz Yisrael. You just can't describe it. You have to feel it. It's
100%.
yeah,
Um, Speaking of feeling things, you're in the feels, okay? Because I read that you're on a Soul Grows in Israel, but you're a soul coach.
yeah,
Tell me a little bit about what you do because you have a few hats.
yes.
Okay, so what's up?
I have so many hats. It's like I don't know what God had intended when he created me and put me on this earth. He's like, how much can a person get done? Just give it to Jordana. But if you want to talk about the coaching, we could start there. So
Yeah.
I fine-tuned the coaching and I had this aha moment at some point, probably just like a month ago. I was trying to do the coaching because so many people have approached me based on my life experiences. And people come to me. I know it sounds weird and sounds odd, but I'll just give you references and different examples. Somebody reached out to me and she's like, Jordana, I know we don't talk often, but I just started crying. And I said, who could I speak with? I thought of you and I looked up on my phone and I got your number and I called you and I wanted to talk to you. Or somebody else said, I'm going through something right now. I have these ideas. And I said, who could I bounce these ideas off of? Jordana. So I saw that people are constantly reaching out to me, want to talk to me. They enjoy talking to me. They feel heard. And I said, you know what? Maybe I should do this, but perhaps get paid to do it as well. Not chesed and on the
Yeah.
constant, but let's see if I could get something with this. And so I started off focusing on soul coaching, trying to help people connect to their inner voice. You might want to say something about that. They don't know what their mission in life is,
Mhm.
and they're having difficulty in figuring it out. So that's how I first started. And then people started reaching out to me about content creation. Um, how did you do that, Jordana, at your age? How do you put yourself out there
Yeah.
and make these videos and feel so comfortable in front of the screen? Like, I wish I knew how to do that. So then I had a whole slew of people. How do you do the podcast? How do you do the videos? I'm like, wait a second. Okay, that's another way of expressing. And then I've always had throughout the years, because I used to be a classroom teacher. So throughout the years, I used to train teachers and I used to train people to talk in front of audiences, not only just the classroom. And I'm like, wait a second, Jordana, take a pause. And I came up with this finding your voice,
Mm.
this three-prong uh, offer, if you might call it that. Finding your inner voice, whether it be in forms of confidence, that inner voice that you know is calling out to you, it's crying, and sometimes we just can't seem to connect to it. I'm there to help you find that. If you want your digital voice, somebody who wants a little bit more confidence or know how to put themselves out digitally to find their digital voice. And then for those that want that stage voice, that want that audience, how to engage, how to talk, how to present, I'm there for you as well. So those are my 3 find your voice stations that I focus on in my coaching. So that's my coaching hat.
It's your coaching hat, and it sounds like 3 different things, but I'm assuming they all overlap. And that sort of brings me to another question. I was always under the impression that people who do project are born with it and you can't really teach it. And you're saying, no, I can help you find it. Does
Right.
everyone have that?
Ah, I love that. I love that point that you're making. When I used to train teachers, I used to tell teachers, and it happens to be I'm starting to coach again teachers, but as a coaching person, I tell you, and I used to tell the school, give me anybody, and I can make them 95% the best. 95%. I can't make them 100%.
Yeah.
Because the last 5% in teaching, presenting, it's a personality. I can't teach somebody personality. I could give you all the way up to 95%. I can make you 95% better, not 100%,
Wow.
because you're right. Are there people that are naturally born with it? Yes. So it could be easier and easier process. But I think there are people that don't even realize. I'll give you a for instance. I grew up, I don't want to say her name, right? But I grew up with somebody, went to camp for years with this person, quiet as a mouse. I can't even explain to you, so quiet, but purely inspirational as a human being. And years moved on, and she got married, got schooling, got a lot of degrees, started becoming a very well-known person in the women's speaking world, I guess, and women's education. And she came to my school where I was working at as a speaker, as a guest speaker. And I'm like, what? Are we going to be able to hear her? Like, like you could hardly hear what she spoke when I was growing up, you know, and I was always the loud one and she was always so soft spoken. And I'm like, okay, she got up. I was never so floored before in my life that she was able to have such presence.
Yeah.
And I went over to her afterwards. I remember, and I'm like, what happened? And now she is one of the largest female speakers out there today.
Wow.
And it is transformational. Either she always had it in her, and perhaps during the younger years, she was a little bit more in the shell. And then maybe she learned how to develop it. Maybe she had more, I don't know. I never had to sit down with her to ask her what was the shift? What was that point in change? But I'm telling you, would not have believed what person A looked like when the person A was a young girl.
Wow.
So I think it's possible. I think
that the ability to communicate is such an overlooked skill in life. You know, I only have boys, and many years it was like pulling teeth with them. You know, you get like a 1-syllable answer. And if they could really express themselves properly using the right words, I think there's power in that. And I think you're giving people power of communication. I'm not sure what's more than that, you know, the sword. But in other words, I think that you are empowering, I'm assuming most of your clients are women.
Yes.
Yeah. So you are empowering a whole generation of, you know, me coming from a certain background. I thought being quiet was admirable. Maybe it was more sneeze. I don't know. And I sort of tapped down my nature to kind of be all over the place until I realized my inner voice was okay in front of a mic and there was no shame in that. So
it's so funny that I had to do the opposite.
Okay.
Meaning, well, I had to do what you did, and then I had to go to the opposite, meaning I'm the youngest of 4. And I always felt like no one noticed me. So I think I felt this need to be seen. I mean, I've spoken before that my first class I ever gave was when I was 6. Friday nights, I used to go to my next door neighbor's house and put on shows because I love dancing and performing. And she had these doors to her dining room table, and they would sit in the living room, and I'd open up these doors, and I would just perform while all the men were in shul. It was just like my favorite pastime. And as I got older, I just fell into that. Like I was always emceeing all the parties or the Shabbatones, and I just fell into being the loud one, presenting. I walked into a room, you would know it. And then as I got older, I said, you know what? I don't have to do that anymore. I started feeling a little bit more comfortable in my own skin. And now I basically try to stay quiet. And I don't like chime in if I'm sitting in a class. I don't feel that need. So much so to the point, I think I was just telling one of my kids, everyone's here for Chag, and I was telling them I was standing in line in the local supermarket here. And here by us, I don't know what it is in Renana. You're in Renana, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know what it's like in Renana, but here by me in Beit Shemesh, they do not pack the packages for you. You have to self-pack your bags.
Mm-hmm.
So in America, that doesn't happen. Everyone, there's a packer,
Yeah.
you just pay. So I bought a lot of stuff for Chag, and I'm trying to pack everything. And the woman behind me said, "Do you think you could hurry up a bit? I would like to go, like pay and let's go."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "I'll do my best." That was it. Like I kept quiet. The person behind her was this man, and he said, "It's really not her fault.
Mm-hmm.
This is the policy of the store. If you have an issue with it, you should probably take it up with the store. They don't pack for you." And so she's doing the best she can. But he said, "But I would tell you," he says, "when I'm in a rush and I have someone in front of me and I want them to go a little bit faster, I usually help them."
Oh, that's so deep.
So
Wow.
I just let it, and I didn't say anything. Like the old me would have been like, like probably coming back with a
Yeah.
line, and
Yeah.
I just I let everybody else have that conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and I just watch it unfold, and I try so much more to observe and to listen rather to go into the conversation, because I learn so much more now when I just watch and listen.
I love that you're saying that. There's always this quest to find the kav and sa'i, like that middle line. So if you're over the top loud, there's an unhealthiness there that you're trying to, gauge. And
Right.
also, if you're as quiet as a mouse, it's probably, well, maybe it is your middle line, but chances are there's another thing you're compensating for or afraid of. And when you find your middle, which is no one else's middle, that's when you have this balance. That's so beautiful.
Mhm.
I know I've engaged in some sort of days where I haven't spoken, this whole Tana Dibur idea. And my kids always say, "Mommy, it's so hard. Like, how do you do it?" And I said the opposite. I feel like I'm off duty. And I noticed that the less I say, you guys are filling it all in. You're disciplining each other. Things are working out, just like the man in the store who made another amazing point. If you have an issue, go help. But in general, the world will take space when you leave it, when you're not
Mhm.
holding all those balls.
Yes, correct.
I love
Correct.
that.
It's about being patient.
Yeah.
No need to rush. Is one of these things that I have a spiel that I do in the morning on Instagram in my stories. And I speak about how one should pray for the things they do not have yet as if they have them,
Well,
grateful for what they do have, be ready for those blessings, ready to nachshon the day, make today a better character building day than it was yesterday. And then the last thing I always say is, don't forget to breathe. And then I breathe with you.
I just did it. Good.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you were talking about communication. And I think communication is key because it's a point of connection. And that's what breathing is. And breathing, there's all these breath facilitators now. It's so popular, breath work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just gave a class recently, and I was telling the women in the class how the reason why I feel it is so popular today is because everybody wants to connect with a higher power, a higher being, with God. And the point of connection is through breath, because that's when God connected to us. And this Torah portion,
This
hey,
week's
here you
Parsha,
go. I don't know
I
when this is
can't.
coming out.
Well, it's coming out probably in 2 weeks from now, you guys, but we just did Bereshit, and every time we get to there, I am the most focused person, not by every other Parsha. In Vayikra, I'm daydreaming, but when we talk about Genesis, the beginning of everything, and man is formed with the breath of God, I am floored every
Exactly.
time anew.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So if that's where God connected with us, when he blew into our nostrils, that means every time I take a breath, I'm reconnecting with God.
Mhm.
And so if I take a pause and just breathe, not only am I pausing, but I'm allowing God in to that moment. And I'm just taking a break and I'm recalibrating the situation. No need to rush. I'm not in control.
Well,
Breathe. Now God is here.
let me run something by you.
Okay.
This happened to me the other day. So Ah, it's so awkward. I never was this person, and I used to roll my eyes at this person, and I became this person for a few moments. We were all together in this like shul meet and greet, and we were all sort of overwhelmed socially because there were like 50 women. Some were looked really comfortable there, and I kind of wanted to be comfortable. And I have this mode where I maybe fake it till I make it. And sure enough, I went over to a woman and I said, Basha Tova, and she looked at me and said, I'm
Oh,
trying to lose the weight. I'm not pregnant. Oh my God. I've never done anything so tactless in my life. And I've seen her twice, and I don't want to bring it up, but she's like not happy to see me. And I'm a pretty easy person to get along with. So I know I really hurt this person. And I
yes.
stopped myself from beating myself up because I realized two things. I realized, first of all, I would have never done such a thing. It was so out of character. It was almost like B, I didn't have bechira. There was no time to filter anything. I don't know where those words came from. And maybe I can fix it with this person. I barely know her, so I'm really embarrassed. But more so, I was very gentle with myself about it, which was something really nice because I think sometimes you're just not perfect, or usually you're not perfect, and things just come out sometimes. And I kind of don't want to always over filter because then again, there's less authenticity. What would you tell me if you were my soul coach? What would be the best way to go about something like that?
Great question. Hmm. Well, as a coach, I would ask you a question.
That's how it goes.
I would ask you if it's okay for me to ask you. I'd be curious how you're feeling about what you said. How's that
So,
make you feel?
yeah, I felt really embarrassed mostly, very shame. Like I felt bad for her and I felt embarrassed for myself.
Mm,
Um, and then when I saw her again, she was just standing near me during Simchat Torah and like trying not to be near me. And I realized, you know, if this is my one faux pas or one of like 10 in this lifetime, there was this essence, not to take blame away from myself, but I realized it was almost, I didn't have any control. I don't know where the thought came from, and I didn't have any moment to even stop it.
mm,
And that's for me, who's quite careful with what I say. So I realized, okay, it's time to move on. Is that me being too easy on myself?
mm. Well, I don't know you well enough to tell you if
Mhm.
that's you being easy on yourself. You would have to know if you're saying that this is not something that happens often with you. Hmm. I'd be curious to why it did happen at this moment.
Yes, it's a really good question. You're really good at this. Okay, so I think I was feeling awkward. I think that I was feeling like there was this very friendly face, and I just wanted to be like filled with love and wish her well. And I know her from before. She's always very friendly and sweet, and I just had this comfort for a moment. And I guess I felt a bit too comfortable or too awkward socially otherwise, maybe, you know?
So there was that awkwardness, and you were trying to fill in with that awkwardness. I'd be curious to ask you, what do you think should be the next step? Do
Mm,
you think the next step should be, okay, I I don't feel that shame or blame anymore, but is that enough?
mm,
Is that enough to move forward? Like, because you said you saw her the next time and you still felt a little not so
yeah,
comfortable. What do
yeah,
you think the next step should be? I think you felt it. You felt bad about what you said. I think that's really healthy. That's normal. You should have, right? Most people should feel
yeah,
bad when they say something. And then you didn't sit in it, which is also amazing. You didn't let it overcome.
right.
But then what? Like, I don't hear you saying the next step.
Yeah, I'm scared that the next step would be me being selfish and trying to iron it all out with her and being like, by the way, again, I'm so sorry I said this because I feel like me bringing it up again can make her just feel even worse. And I'm trying to ease my own conscience, and I don't want to do that. I
Mm.
think I have to live with it. That's what I think the next step is.
Mm. Do you think that's really the case? Or do you think deep down inside you're really uncomfortable to actually bring it up?
Mm, I have to think on it. That's a good one. Okay, so there's no right answer. You're saying when you have a client, much like really good therapy, you're trying to find my own inner voice and my own compass as to what to do.
Exactly.
In real time, you guys. Okay. That is so
Exactly.
cool. Okay, so before you were doing all of this amazing work, and I could see how fulfilling this would be, what were you doing before this in your other lives?
Okay. So my other lives, so professionally, my other lives, like I had touched on, I was a classroom teacher for
Hmm.
28 years. And I,
28 years.
yeah,
Wow.
and I retired as the middle school dean of a modern Orthodox school called Yavne Academy in Paramus, New Jersey. And when I left there, I had transitioned into Kiruv work because while I was there, I had started doing public speaking and speaking for women on seminars, Shabbatons, women retreats. You could find me, believe it or not, during COVID. I hosted shows on YouTube called The Taste of Shabbos. I used to MC big challah bakes for thousands of women before COVID. That was like, we'd have 1,000 women together. The big, what was the big challah bake of North Jersey or something? The big challah bake of North Jersey. During that November time period when we have Shabbos across America. And I just was loving it. And I started getting more opportunities, and my teaching was holding me back from fulfilling those opportunities, which were more dream, passion. It transitioned into that. Teaching became very tedious.
Yeah.
With emails, with texts, with the internet, with everything. It just became way too much for me. And it became very challenging, and I wasn't enjoying it as much in the classroom, but I loved the teaching.
Yep.
And so then I started working for an organization called Olami. I was the associate director of mentorship for their program of North America. I did that for 3 years. And then I made Aliyah. I moved to Israel. And since I was the associate director of a mentorship program for North America, it wasn't really going to work if I lived in Israel. So thank God of recent, as of September 1st, professionally again, I am the director of social media marketing strategy for Renewal. Renewal is a live organ donation organization. And so I get to speak to really inspiring people on the daily, and it's so beautiful, and they're really great people. So that's all professionally. I know you could get tired from listening. And then on the side, I started my own Instagram, which is my Drink It In handle.
It's amazing, you guys. It's like she's a millennial, but younger. No, you're killing it. Honestly, it's so good.
And I have my podcast, which I'm starting to record season 15 of my podcast.
Wow.
And I write for different magazines and newspapers. And I give classes. I give a weekly Parsha class that people could be a part of, for a price, obviously.
Yeah, you don't watch a lot of YouTube or TV, I take it. I feel like
No, I don't watch a lot of TV. Not in, I mean, I used to read a lot, believe it or not. That was like my go-to at a certain point. I also have 6 kids and grandkids. So at a certain point in my life, I think it was about 12 years ago, I got very much into reading. I was going through some sort of crisis at home, and it was my escape. I used to read like 2 books a week. I was like,
I get that. Eat it
but I don't do that anymore because I don't
drinking it in, Jordana.
Yeah, all the books. I don't feel that need. I was using it as a coping mechanism to escape the life I was in. And now I don't feel I need that escape. So I learn a lot. I really do.
You have no need to escape because you really are present and enjoying the life that you're building for yourself.
Yes, it took a long time. I'm on marriage number 3, which I don't know.
You mentioned that recently. I'm on this WhatsApp group of these powerful women, and then I recognized your name and I saw marriage number 3. And it was like, how open and cool are you to just put things out there where, again, I mean, I love that. I love the authenticity. I don't think you'd be a good coach without that, to be honest.
And it's so funny. I did this Instagram reel. I saw somebody was like these trends. I love the trends. I think they're so fun because it's creative, it's fun, it's cool, it's music, it's dancing, and that speaks to me. So there's this woman who brushed her shoulder like this, and like you hear the noise, the brushing, and then like this, and she was like, mistake, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, and my husband's like, what? And I'm like, I had the coolest idea. I'm gonna do this video. He's like, okay. So I did husband number 1.
Mistake.
Husband number 2. I didn't say like mistake. I just said husband number 1, husband number 2, and then I put on my sunglasses. I'm like on 3, like something like on 3.
That's so cool. It's so cool for so many transparent reasons of A culture that told you to hide if, God forbid, someone was ill or someone got divorced and everything was on the hush hush because of your kids or your reputation. And there's something so liberating if we could just finally embrace all of, I wouldn't even call them mistakes, all the bumps in the road that sometimes were just your destiny. And it makes us all feel safer to express our own, you know?
Yeah, you got to learn from it. Yeah, I'll tell you, if you have kids, this is what I believe. If
Hmm.
you have kids, you should be living a life that you want your kids to live.
Yeah.
Y.Y. Jacobson has this cute little spiel that he does that a woman comes over to him and says, um, my child is not happy. I need them to be happy. And he says, they're not happy? And she's like, no, they're not happy. So he said, are you happy? She says, it's too late for me. Forget about me. I need them to be happy. And he's like, if you're not happy, how are they meant to be happy?
Wow.
So if you're not growing, how are they meant to grow? If you're in an abusive situation, they're going to see that it's okay to be in an abusive situation. If
Yeah.
someone talks to you a certain way, they're going to see that that's okay. And my goal is to raise the best children I possibly can. And I need to be the best version of myself in order for them to learn to be the best version of themselves. I
Yeah.
can't control the situation, but I can control my behaviors.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's interesting. I should tell that to my son because we were just having a discussion just over Chag, and he's like, Ima, who's your mentor? Like, who do you aspire to be? Who do you look up to be? And I didn't really have an answer for him.
Great question.
Yeah, that's the conversations that go in my household.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, but it's not that. It's, I'm trying to be, my mentors are my children.
Mm.
My children are my inspiration. They're the ones who help me get up in the morning.
Yeah.
They're the ones, it's not that they wake me up, I'm metaphorically, meaning it's in my head that I'm doing. One of my kids is having difficulty getting back into exercise. And I just said to him, I got back into it. I spin. I said, I'm spinning now. I'm on week number 5, twice a week. I said, my goal is to get it in 3 times a week. And I'll do that. Once I hit the 6-week mark, I'm going to aim for doing spin 3 times a week. But, I didn't want to overdo myself and overextend and then start something and not follow through. So I said, I knew I could do twice a week. I knew it. And so I said, so guess what? He's starting to jog here when he's visiting me. We need to realize that our children are watching and we need to be there to inspire them. But again, it's not our fault if they don't do certain things. It's hard, like you were saying, not to take on the blame, not to take on the shame. My eldest daughter said to me, Ima, just like you're Hakadosh Baruch Hu's child, so are your children. They're not Hakadosh Baruch Hu's grandchildren. They're just as much as your children and
Wow.
their children, Hashem's children. So let Hashem and let them go on their journey.
Yeah.
It's difficult sometimes,
It's a lot of letting go. It's a lot of,
Yes.
yeah, of giving them wings, hopefully. And, it's really a classic example of a norma ad vase harbe. Like if you want your kids to be a certain way, and it won't be specifically the way you imagine. That's what I've learned. Like, like I know the overall picture of my dream, but it won't be the way I intended or the exact copy, but it'll rhyme if we're doing the right thing. And I do think you striving to have a more peaceful home for whatever it is that you went through. I come from a divorced home when no one else was getting divorced, back in the, early 80s. And I know that a peaceful home was all that mattered. And that's my dream, is for everyone to feel safe when they walk through my door. So not everything am I going to get right, but that's my focus. So I do think you're doing your children not only a huge service for trying better and harder, but letting the whole world in with you on your journey for whatever it's worth. It's so cool. It's so powerful.
Thank you. I love speaking to children of divorce. May I ask a question then?
Yes.
Okay, it could go both ways. So looking back now, are you happier they got divorced?
Mm.
Was it something, if you don't mind sharing again?
Yeah, I'm happy to share it. I'm going to speak as selfishly and honestly as I can. I think my life was much harder through the divorce than it was when they were married. However, I was young. But the way the divorce happened and the remarriages were awful, that I wasn't sure that anything got traded up. if
Mm,
if I went through all that and both my parents were super happy with the results, then I think I'd feel differently. But now I'm like, what was it all? What was that whole thing worth? Maybe you guys could have been sort of not happy together instead of being unhappy or apart. You know what I mean?
I
So
hear
that's
you.
my unique experience. But for people that I know that do create a peaceful environment with their next marriages, or even if they don't get remarried, if life is quieter and better, then I say by all means you did the right thing. And maybe my parents did do the right thing. I'm just speaking as the kid here,
I
caught
know,
between.
but the kid is important. I just out of curiosity because my parents are still together. They're 84 and 85. They were boyfriend and girlfriend at age 15 and 14, so it's like a totally different world. And here I'm a woman who has been through two divorces
Yeah.
and married now for the third time, year number two. And it's different. And I know it's challenging for the children,
Mhm.
but I know I am providing right now, like you said, a more peaceful, calmer environment, even though it might be uncomfortable at times for them,
Yeah.
because to be with a step parent is can be uncomfortable and not. I know this sounds horrible. Not everybody could be me. This is what my
It's
husband
true.
says to me. Not everybody can be me because when I feel and people have told me when my stepchildren come over, I do make them feel quite welcome, and I'm an easy person to talk to, and people enjoy being around me. And so not everybody could do what I can do,
Yeah.
but I try to look at it as, but there's no damage,
That's it. Do
meaning
no harm. Yes.
no harm, no abuse, no that is key to me. That's really important. But
Hmm.
it is a challenge. It's a
It
challenge.
is a
Nothing
challenge.
is easy.
And if I could bolster you, I'll say that I think that a lot of people had good intentions, but their execution was not great. And
Right.
yet my sister and I are thriving in life. So you
Oh,
know
good.
what? Like sometimes it gets real messy and it doesn't mean your kids will be messy as a result. I do have
Right.
to say that.
Oh, so that's good. That's good.
That's
Everybody hear that? Everybody hear that?
tell your children. They still have
Living
free
proof.
choice.
Living proof. Her and her sister. Living proof.
We hope
It
we're
can be
normal. We
done.
check in with each other sometimes. Like, are you sure we're
That's good.
okay?
That's beautiful. That's good that you have each other and that you could communicate with each other and share with each other. And that's really important. And I allow my children to do the same.
Mm.
I try not to get involved in their conversations
Yeah.
about certain things. It's not my place. They still love the parent.
Yes. Thank
And
God, but thank God, you know?
yeah, they still love the parent. And even though it could be challenging, a parent is still a parent.
Yeah, that's it. And we'll always seek their approval, no matter how damaged or whatever it is that they are.
Right.
We just want them to love us. I think that's the most natural thing in the world.
Oh my gosh, my son just said to me this morning, I was like, okay, what are you guys going to do today? I said, I have a full schedule. I have spin, getting my nails done.
They
Then
look
I have
great.
this Zoom, and then I have this Zoom. Then I start work American hours. And I said, I won't be around to entertain you guys. He says, we never asked for you to entertain us. All we ask is for you to love us.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I know it to be true. I know
Yeah.
it to be true. That's
Yeah.
it. And that's why when you're doing all these things to not just like creating a better home, but actually being fulfilled and helping the world around you, and you're a happier mom, the kids are great. Yeah, you
Yeah.
miss a night here and you miss a dinner there, but they want a parent that's just fulfilled and happy because that's what makes the home happy. I do think that. And I
Yeah.
hope any listener listening to this really doesn't keep swallowing themselves for the sake of their children, the sake of their spouse. It
Yes.
doesn't work, you guys.
It doesn't work. My pet peeve is we're going to stay together for the sake of the kids. It doesn't work. The kids, they're like dogs, nothing like degrading. They sniff it out.
Yeah.
They know when
Oh,
things
yeah.
are right and when things are wrong, and you're fooling yourself. And
Hmm.
I'm not here to promote. If someone could work it out, great.
Yeah.
Work it out.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do. I worked so hard on my marriage, really did. It's painful.
Yeah,
It's
you got to know when
painful.
to fold them, you guys. Like if you have a bad investment, no matter how much money you throw at it, it's still the bad investment,
Mhm.
unfortunately. So sometimes letting go is much harder than holding on, and everyone has
Yes,
their own situation. I can
yes, it
imagine.
was. It was definitely not easy. Second time around, for sure, not easy. Crazy. Yeah.
You know, and look what
Yeah.
you're doing though. I mean, here you are in Israel, taking a real pivot in your life, but it sounds like it goes right along the theme. I teach as well, and I think this is very much in our wheelhouse of people who sort of get each other, but also are more fulfilled when they're doing something outwardly. And there are so many people who are the exact opposite. And I think that you need to, like you said, your inner voice, you're going to have that compass. You're going to know when something, when you said you were teaching and that's it. It wasn't doing it anymore. If God forbid you stayed in that job, you would do a disservice to all your students because you weren't
Right.
in it. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. I used to wake up in the morning so excited to go to work. And I just lost that skip in my step. And I knew it wasn't scratching that itch anymore, as they
Yeah.
say. And I
Yeah.
just had to find my way. And thank God, again, I don't know if I've actually truly found it just yet, the exact thing, but I'm getting there. I try to fill my day up with things that do fulfill me. I used to do this live show with Rena Deitch. If you don't know who she is, you should look her up. She also just made Aliyah. She's from Toronto. And we used to call it Living and Living. We used to do it Sunday morning. And one of the things she said is that she had like a little worksheet of a flower
Uh-huh.
with these petals. And a person should fill in the petals, meaning what makes you bloom? What makes you like blossom? And look at that and try to see, have you done at least one of them a day?
Mm.
Because we all need to nourish ourselves, and you need to know what that is, whether it could be dancing in your home, singing in the shower, going for a walk, reading a book. It could be, I could go on and on, cooking, baking, whatever it might be. You have to know what lights your fire. That's Hannah Sufrin. She said that once on my podcast, from House of Lankry. You know, House of Lankry, great
Sure.
clothing. So she had said, you have to know what lights your fire. And
Ooh.
you gotta just light that fire. That's so important.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a huge light. Like you just mentioned singing in the shower. You guys, that's free. You know, it's sometimes it's just like fill in those petals. I think that is brilliant. And when you're at a loss, you have your little drawing. You get to know what to look
Yes.
back at.
Yeah,
Oh,
put it
that's
on
so
your
valuable.
refrigerator,
Yeah.
something,
I
something,
I love
just
that.
really make sure you know how to blossom.
Because everyone's got their things. Everybody.
Everyone wants the things.
Yep. And
Yeah,
mine
and
isn't yours, right?
that's right. What's yours? Let me hear yours.
Okay. I was just thinking as you were talking, what did I do today? Because I'm in a good mood. So I was thinking I must have done a bunch of things that made me feel good because I'm not always in a good mood, which is also fine.
Right.
And for me, it was a big deal. Getting back to routine was actually really nice for me. But today I made time. I did yoga. 20 minutes. I did a 10-minute meditation. Today was a good one. I had a coffee with my new puppy, and I took a walk. So I have to say, I don't always get four of those in the morning. Today
Right.
I did. I think I knew I needed it, or I think I was just happy, so I got happier, which usually does happen. And it has a long shelf life, you know, it's going to last for a good day plus.
Exactly. Exactly. I once heard this image analogy, like this imagery, that as a mom or a wife, you are the charging station.
Mm.
And what happens is your children, your husband, people around you, they want to come in and get plugged. They get plugged in by you. And if your charger is not charged and it's dead, you can't charge anything else up in your household.
Ooh, that is, wow, that really resonated. That is exactly right. They come home
Yes,
from school and yeah, they really want someone.
they do. How think about it, if any young mothers are listening to this, how many times I used to always joke about this. My youngest is 16, so I'm okay now. But yes and no. I think it just happened over
I just,
one time. You go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom, and that's like you think it's your 10 minutes of quiet time. Naka Ima. I'm like, I'm in the bathroom.
seriously, you've come to my house, I think. Yeah, I know it.
That's what it is, because they just want to get charged by you.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You're their
Yeah.
charging station,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not. So we all need to learn how to charge ourselves up.
You ever see like a little kid at the playground and they just run to their mom for a hug and then run away? They just
Yes,
got charged.
exactly.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That is amazing. Can I, Jordana, I know you have to leave and I could talk to you all day. This has been so Inspirational. I think that's the word for it. You are very, very warm and very focused on listening. And I think that's going to really take you a very long way in what you're doing. And I hope you are on again and we can talk more about the flower and what makes you shine and
Oh,
blossom.
there you go. Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor and a pleasure. I
Of course.
love meeting and communicating with people and connecting. I hope we can
Yeah,
do
me
it
too,
again.
especially people like you. So, guys, thank you for listening. And where can everyone find you on Instagram?
So my handle is at drink it in one word underscore Jordana.
Okay. We'll see you on social media, you guys. It's great. And thank you again. Bye.
Bye.
Hi again. If you're enjoying what you're hearing and you feel inspired or entertained and you want to share it with people you care about, please share it with your friends, your parents, whoever. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment so we can build a community together.